Hey guys, in this episode, I met with Justin Hart of Just In Time Moving based out of Mesa, Arizona, and he went through some of the specific things that you should look for and questions to ask your movers when you're planning on moving homes. It was super informative. I actually learned a lot, and I hope you enjoy it. I'm Danny Brown with Myriad at My Home Group, and on this episode of Ask a Mover, we are joined by Justin Hart, the owner of Just In Time Moving. Hi, Justin.
How's it going?
How are you?
Doing great. Thanks
Good. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your company and kind of what makes you a little bit different than other movers out there?
Absolutely. We started back in 2005. We've grown very slowly and steadily over the last 13 years. Basically, we have done our best to find and keep quality men and movers and office staff and keep them happy and in turn keep our clients happy. So what makes us different than other moving companies is that we are consistently good at what we do. We don't just have a couple of good men that work for us and the rest of the team is so-so. We don't have a lot of turnover, so the guys that we have here do a wonderful job, have worked together for years, and take pride in what they do. We go above and beyond to make our clients happy, and in the event that we make a mistake, we step up and own it and take care of it.
Very cool. So I think that most people, at least in my world, one of the last things they kind of think about is scheduling, hiring movers, and kind of what to think about. They're so focused on finding a home to buy, then working through the mortgage process, and then it's like, oh crap, I actually have to move. So what are some things that people should do and should think about when hiring a mover?
Well, ahead of time, number one. Make sure that you are planning things out. Get a moving company scheduled as far ahead as you can. Just because Arizona is a very active market, as you know, there aren't a lot of quality companies, and we especially book up very quickly. So it also seems that most people move all on the same days. Like, the last Saturday of the month is a very, very popular day. So number one, if you're able to move or make a closing date happen middle of the month, middle of the week, that's great. That's kind of a good way to plan ahead and make sure you can get services for your home as far as moving goes sooner. But if you need to move on one of those peak times, definitely plan ahead and do some research. I mean, we always encourage our clients, before they're our clients, to get a couple of bids, see what's out there, call around. You can do your research on Yelp and Better Business Bureau and things like that, but really it just comes down to who you feel most comfortable with and who provides you with the best experience.
So when you're interviewing movers, what are some of the basic questions that someone should ask a mover before they hire them?
Well, it seems that most of the pitfalls that we find and most of the bad experiences stem from two things. Either they're charged more than they think they're going to be the day of the move, or their items are damaged during the move. So when you're interviewing a mover or talking to a mover, it's best to be very, very clear with them, or have them be clear with you about what charges you're gonna have, what you can expect the day of the move, and what additional fees there are. It's very common for local moving to charge by the hour. However, many movers then charge all these additional fees the day of that they kind of keep secret from you until then. So make sure they're very clear about that. Also, it's a great idea to have a walkthrough for your move, an in-person walkthrough, just to verify how long the move will take. It's easy to underbid a move over the phone, so more and more, if it's something that's complicated or a larger home, it's definitely good to have somebody come out and do a walkthrough in person.
So by walkthrough, you mean actually having the moving company come out to your home before you've packed it all up and walk the property with you to give you a better idea?
Absolutely. That does a couple of things. One, any reputable moving company, including us, will do a free walkthrough for you, a free in-home walkthrough prior to the move with no obligation. So we're happy to do that. It also really helps the estimator who comes out to give you an idea of how to prepare better for your move, because there's a lot of things that you can do to help save time, save money the day of the move, and we can explain those to you when we're in your home that day.
Okay. Why don't we dive a little bit into that? That's a good segue. What are some things that people should do to properly prep for the move?
I mean, the first thing is making sure things are packed up, and that is very relative, because some people don't understand what that means.
Sure.
Most people don't move every day, so they don't know, what packing up means, but you want to get the move down to boxes and furniture as much as possible prior to the move. Where you can really lose some time is not having things prepared properly, so a lot of loose items. Boxes that are just kind of half filled, open top boxes can be kind of difficult for movers to deal with, and kind of knowing what you want to move before the move date comes. A lot of people take that opportunity when they're moving to purge their items.
Yeah.
There's no reason to pay someone to move your goods that you're not going to be using, so it's smart to go through that stuff ahead of time. And there are companies that will come in prior to the move and help you organize, help you pack. We will do the same thing, which can actually save you money. It sounds a little bit crazy that you're going to pay for a separate service to save money, but by doing that, the move itself will go much faster, much more efficiently, and save you some money there.
So I can actually hire Just-in-Time Moving to come and pack my belongings for me and then move them?
Absolutely. And the nice thing about that is we don't necessarily have to pack the whole house or whatever. We can come in and do as much or as little as you need. So we tell a lot of our clients that are going to handle their own packing, keep in touch with us if things change, because sometimes that's a bit overwhelming. When you first start, you go, oh, no problem, I can take care of all the packing, get everything in boxes. By the time moving day comes, you've dealt with so many other things,
Sure.
You haven't had time to get it done. So if that's the case, it's smart to have us come out the day before the move, do an hour or two just to help you finish up and get things ready and prepped for the move. Then the actual day of the move, it's a lot less hectic.
So if you're not going to end up hiring a professional mover to pack your stuff for you, what's the best way to kind of organize the boxes and pack the boxes so that they're not left half open or half filled, so things don't rattle around and break? What recommendations do you have on proper packing techniques, I guess?
Sure. Basically, there's a lot of common sense involved. I mean, it's, people think, oh, it's a large box, I can fill it with books. You don't want to do that. You want to kind of stick with heavier items in smaller boxes for the most part.
Okay.
You want to use plenty of packing paper with fragile items as far as making sure when you pack up your kitchen. The average homeowner wants to use small and medium boxes typically. You want to make sure things are wrapped, plates are stacked vertically. You don't want glass touching glass. We actually offer packing supply bundles that we have set up for your typical apartment, typical small home and larger home,
okay,
that we'll drop off ahead of time, explain how to use. You can pack those up. There's no charge for the delivery. Anything you don't use, we buy back from you the day of the move. So there's a couple of things that are nice about that. One, you're getting new packing supplies that are standard size boxes, right? So that's important as well. Different size boxes that aren't moving boxes can be difficult to deal with. I know that
Sure.
sounds kind of strange, but when you've got uniform sizes, that makes stacking and moving a much easier process.
I mean, that was going to be one of my questions. Where is the best place to get packing material? I know people don't want to necessarily spend money to buy boxes because they're just going to tear them up.
Right.
But your recommendation is to actually buy the boxes from the moving companies?
Typically, yes. Nowadays, corrugated boxes have really come down in price. If you go to Home Depot or U-Haul or places like that, you'll see that boxes are pretty inexpensive to what they used to be, even as much as 5 or 10 years ago. To our clients, we offer a 30% discount on these bundles that we provide out to you. And it's a great setup to have everything that you need. Now, we also provide a service where we pick up your used boxes after the move for free, and we pass those on for free. So if you're on a tight budget for your move, we've got solutions for you to help you with that.
That's a great
We
service.
make sure those are quality boxes, ready to be used again, clean, and again, we can provide those to our clients as well.
Have you seen some of those companies out there where you can actually rent the collapsible plastic boxes?
Absolutely.
And then how do those work? Do you recommend people try those out as well?
Yeah, we provide those also.
Oh, okay.
They're more common with commercial moves, but they are used in some residential moves. They're called e-crates. There's a couple other brands out there that do the same type of thing. There's some ups and downs to those. Nice thing is you can really put whatever you want into those boxes. They're all a standard size for the most part, but being that they're all a standard size, they won't accommodate everything that you have.
Sure.
So, however, we are happy to provide those, especially if we're moving you. We'll bring those out prior to the move, the day of the move you in them, and then pick them up when you're finished.
I gotcha. For professional movers, is there any sort of licensing that's in place that people should verify before hiring a mover?
That's the tough part about Arizona. It's very unregulated, I guess you would say. So
It's the Wild West.
exactly. I mean, it's very easy for someone to go pick up a U-Haul truck, pick up a couple of their buddies, and then they're a moving company. So that's why your due diligence is very important. Getting a referral from your realtor or from someone that has used that company before is certainly important. Obviously, besides just your corporation commission license, for local moving, as long as you have a DOT number on your truck, just for intrastate transport, you're pretty much good to go. Those aren't very difficult to get. So.
Sure.
So it's not like a contractor where they have to pass tests and do these things to become qualified to move your home. So really that's where you need to kind of look around and make sure that you do what you need to do prior to the move.
Kind of do your due diligence.
Yep. Now, interstate moving, so if you're moving long distance, there is regulation for that. You have to have a DOT number and an MC number. Those have to be registered for interstate transport. You can go to, you can first Google any company you're going to use and see if they're licensed, but there's a website called safersys.org, safersys.org, where you can type in any company's name and it'll show you their history with the Department of Transportation and if they're registered or not for interstate transport. So.
Now, do you guys help people move across state and across the country?
Yeah, absolutely. So we go nationwide, all 48 continental states. We do a lot of regional work in California, Colorado. That seems to be where a lot of people are moving back and forth from and to. But we have trucks going as far as Florida, New York, all over the place. And even back from those states. So somebody that's moving to Arizona, we're happy to help them as well.
So if you're helping someone move from a different area to here, do you have to drive your trucks cross country to them and then come back? Or do you fly to them, get a truck? Like how does that work?
Typically we use our trucks. So if you're going from, let's say, Washington State back to Arizona, as long as we know far enough ahead, we'll be able to find a customer moving out to Washington, and our goal is to coordinate those moves to where we're going out and back with our truck, and it's kind of a seamless operation. In the event that we can't make that work, we are happy to fly in, pick up a truck, send the equipment in, and bring everything back with us to Arizona.
So as the client, the customer, are we responsible for paying for like the gas, the trip charge for, like I imagine if somebody's moving from Maine, or Alaska, that's a really far drive. So the cost of that is probably pretty hefty.
That's where the majority of the cost comes in for an interstate move. It's not so much the load or the unload. It is the time involved and the cost involved in transporting it across the country. So that being the case, we provide you with a guaranteed flat rate for the move prior to signing any sort of contract with us. If fuel prices change or things change, you're locked in at that price. So we don't have, it's not a weight-based system or a quote that can vary depending on what you have. We kind of figure out what is involved with your move. We do a walkthrough, provide you with a written proposal with a guaranteed flat rate, and that's it. The nice thing about that is, with our company, since most of the cost is in that transport, we do what we can at the load side and the unload side to make your life easier. So we're not worried about spending a couple of extra hours getting things assembled, boxes in the right rooms, everything set up to make your life easier when we get you to where you're going. A lot of interstate van lines, for instance, don't do that. They kind of drop it off at the curb or drop it off inside the door, and that's it.
And that's it, yep. What about insurance? Is there special insurance in place? So, and then different levels. So if I pack my own stuff and then you come and you move it and I didn't pack it right and it breaks, are you liable? Am I liable? Like, what protection is in place for that kind of stuff?
And that's a great question. That kind of goes back to the packing we were talking about earlier. So to start with that, typically any time that you pack something into a box and we move it, unless we damage that box, no mover will take liability for what was broken inside of the box, because we don't know how it's packed, we don't know the condition before it was packed, so on and so forth. So, so that being the case, it's smart if you're moving, especially cross country, to have the mover you hire pack your goods for you as well. That way they're liable for those items for the entirety of the move. Now, there is insurance that you can purchase. So the way, and people think about insurance, they think about their stuff, right? They want to make sure if something's damaged that it's broken, but there's other insurance to consider. So just like when you have a contractor in your home, you want to make sure that person has obviously insurance for their men, liability insurance that covers you and your residents while we're moving you, and also the trucks that they're using to move you with. So they should have insurance for that, but as far as the cargo goes, there's a per pound coverage, which is 60 cents per pound per item. That's your minimum included coverage. That's designed to provide you with basic repair coverage if something is damaged in the move. Above and beyond that, you can get valuation coverage, which requires declared value of your items, and then you have a certain coverage amount based on any damage that would occur during the move that way. So We don't typically recommend that for local moving because it's very rare that you have a total loss or something crazy happen in a local move. But if we're moving you interstate or into our warehouse into storage, we're going to recommend, it's a very inexpensive policy. For a couple $100, you can get $10,000 worth of coverage or more from there as needed, which just kind of gives you peace of mind knowing that everything is completely covered in the event of a fire or a total loss, basically.
How long would you say that the typical move takes from the start of loading stuff up to getting to the location and unloading it? What would you say the average time frame looks like from getting from point A to point B?
Your average, you mean locally here, kind of?
Yeah.
So your average, typical home that, 2.4 kids with a dog, basically, right?
Yeah.
So 1,800 square foot to 2,000 square foot home, that's about a 4 to 6 hour process for us typically.
Okay.
So again, that can vary depending on how much you have in the home, and that's why the estimate is very important to make sure that's accurate. But your typical truckload, typical household move, 4 to 6 hours. We provide a 3-man team, 26-foot truck, and usually we're going to load that truck in about an hour and a half to 2 hours, drive to the new home, and then unload in about the same amount of time, a little bit less maybe.
And so you had mentioned that your pricing is done hourly.
Yes.
So is there any protections in place for the consumer that if it runs longer than that 4 to 6 hours, so I don't know, say something that you were unprepared for happens,
right.
Do you guys guarantee that 4 to 6 hours, or is it just an hourly rate?
It's typically an hourly rate, and you only pay for the actual time that we use. So there's just a 1 hour minimum for our service. Time is prorated after the first hour. We will provide kind of a capped number of hours, something of that sort, for those that are very concerned about that. But in 13 plus years, I've had 0 complaints about our work ethic or efficiency.
Sure.
The men work very, very hard. We take pride in coming in under our estimate. Our goal is to earn your business for life, not just to earn your business for this move and give you a bad taste in your mouth when we're done. So we typically will estimate, if we estimate 4 to 6 hours, let's say, we're going to try to get it done in 3 to 4 hours. That's kind of the idea. So we usually build in a little bit of extra time to our estimate to account for the unknowns, unexpected things that can happen during the move.
Kind of that, under promise and over deliver?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. There's many times you get there and, we forgot about this, or something takes longer than we thought, or we have difficulties getting it through a doorway or what have you. We want to make sure we have time built in for that. So.
All right. So a common question that I get asked a lot is, so when you hire movers and you're moving them, they're getting paid their rate. We've hired you guys several times, and I've seen how hard these guys work, especially in the summertime. Is it customary to tip? And if so, how much do you tip these guys when they're helping you move?
Yeah, that's kind of a touchy subject because there are some people out there who ask for tips, and we would never do that. I've always made it an effort to pay our men very, very well for what they do in relation to the industry. I've done the work myself. I've been on the trucks for years, so I understand what's involved. So we pay them a salary where they're not dependent upon tips. That being said, if you're happy with the service, they've worked really hard for you, you have it in your budget to give them a little extra, or if we estimated your move at 6 hours and they come in at 3 or 4 and you can afford to do that, they're definitely going to be very appreciative of that,
Sure.
right? But if you don't have it in your budget, moving is very expensive, we understand that.
It is.
We're not counting on a tip from any of our clients, so we're not going to look at you and, throw shade your direction basically if you
Right.
don't tip us. But no, it's always appreciated. It's a service-based business. The guys are working hard to make sure you're happy, and if that's the case, always appreciated, not required.
Okay, good to know. So, with helping buyers and sellers with real estate, it's you've got this close of escrow date, and it's kind of your goal, and you're set. But stuff always happens. Your suggestion is to plan your move as far out in advance as you can. Now, if something happens during, the escrow process and you have to move your move out dates, or you have to move the closing, but you've scheduled movers, what do you do then?
Well, that's what we do. I mean, that's what the great people that we have in our office providing customer support work on. So whether you have to push back a couple of days last minute, or maybe we've loaded you into a truck, you didn't get your keys as expected, now all of your goods are on one of our trucks, and what do we do? So we have ways of accommodating that for you. One is to make sure that we have obviously a couple of warehouses here that we can keep items at short term if needed. We can keep items on the truck for a day or two if needed, securely in our yard. We don't overschedule our team. so we allow for these types of things to happen. So we keep our afternoons relatively light to make sure that if we needed to do something in the afternoon, we can. We also leave Sundays wide open. We never book moves on Sundays. That's mainly to give our guys rest, but also to give us a little bit of leeway in case something comes up. What I find with local moving especially, issues typically happen on Fridays and Saturdays because people are kind of moving on the weekends, waiting on keys, but banks don't like to work on the weekends typically, right? So that gives us a nice way to accommodate customers that have issues last minute. We know we have Sunday available if needed. We have guys who are willing to make sure that we make things happen for our clients.
That's smart, because we always try to schedule our closings on Thursdays, because if there's a delay, you still have Friday to kind of get stuff together before everything's closed.
Sure.
And then you're at a standstill on Saturday and Sunday.
Exactly.
So it's nice that you kind of give yourselves that window. You know, stuff happens. Now you've loaded everything into a truck and you're shipping it here, and you open the truck and something's fallen and something's broken, or something's gotten a deep gouge and scratch in it. What protections are in place for the consumer if that happens?
Sure, and that's where we actually, we never break anything. So no, I'm just kidding. But that being said, that's why the insurance that we have for local moving is really designed it's not full coverage insurance, it's designed to provide protections for that. We go above and beyond that whenever there's an issue. Our goal is to make sure that you're happy with us. So number one, we have excellent trucks, excellent equipment in our trucks, and guys who are trained to load the trucks professionally and make sure that, and teams work together to make sure that nothing gets damaged in the move. In the event that it does, we've got an excellent, furniture repair person that we work with, upholstery cleaning person that we work with, different vendors that we've used over the years that come in and make sure any issues that we have are taken care of. We had an issue with a home years ago where we tracked something in on the carpet. We used our friends at Paradise Carpet Cleaning to take care of that for us. Yep. And he was there within an hour, fixed the problem. No issues at that point. So we're on top of that. I handle all customer service issues personally, so it's my goal to make sure that anything arises, we get it taken care of and make sure that you're more than happy when things are done.
Are there any items that you would suggest people not have moved, or items that you absolutely will not transport for people?
From a safety perspective, the only things that we won't transport are typically flammable items such as propane tanks, ammunition, things of that nature, that just kind of common sense you don't want to put in a truck in case there's an issue. Sure. But what a lot of people don't think about when they move is sensitive paperwork, medications, things they need access to right away. Family heirlooms are always important to move on your own. Not that there'll ever be an issue with us, but it's better to have those things that you cannot replace in your possession just for peace of mind, So typically, those type of things are important to keep ready, take with you in your own vehicle.
What about pets? Things like, fish tanks, any sort of pet that you have. Do you guys handle that, or would you recommend them contacting like a specialist? We
typically will find solutions for any needs that our potential clients have or our clients. So we don't necessarily, we're not specialists in every single piece of furniture out there or every single type of situation, but we will find the right solution for you, whether being a specialist or something we handle in-house. Fish tanks, for instance, most consumers that own fish tanks can get those emptied, get them down to where they're ready to be moved, and we'll take care of the moving part. But we work with different services that can handle that for you. Hot tubs and spas are a big one that I see quite a bit, not really in pets, but people have them in their backyard.
Yeah.
And that's something that takes a special setup, so we'll make sure that's arranged. So our goal is to make your life easier, make sure that you have one less phone call to make. That's something that we have people lined up for that we can arrange for you ahead of time. So
this is just a what if story, but like a really heavy safe or something that just a human being can't physically move. Do you guys have the equipment that you bring in, or again, does that go?
Absolutely. So we can handle most heavy items that you would experience, most safes. I mean, there's the occasional person that has a bank vault built into their home, and that takes a special safe moving operation. But we've got great equipment, trucks with lift gates, things like that. In the event that there's something we don't have, we can bring in an electronic dolly that kind of lifts the item for you. Different pieces of equipment that we can use to move those things for you. So if it fit into the home, we can definitely get it out of the home for you safely.
What about vehicles?
Sure. We can move them for you locally. We've got flatbed transports. We've got some vehicle storage available. There are a couple of clients that we've moved that are out of town for 6 months, and we're storing their vehicles for them in covered parking until they get back. So
very
absolutely.
Nice.
Yep.
Great. And then to kind of close it out, are there any questions or anything that maybe I didn't touch on that you'd like to kind of talk about?
Moving is something that you don't want to skimp on as far as getting the cheapest bid. Our pricing is very competitive. It's not the lowest price that you'll find out there, that's for sure. But most of the problems that I see from clients and from other people that we've dealt with is that they've had a bad experience because they've hired the cheapest mover they can find, you know.
Sure.
And
you
that's
get what
true
you pay for.
To a degree, yeah. And you'll find that if you're looking at reputable moving companies, they're all going to be kind of in the same price range. It's very tempting to say, oh, I can hire this company for half of the price of the other company. It's just moving, it's just a couple of guys in a truck. There's so much more to it than that. I think moving is an art form. I think it's something that takes a lot of years of practice and training and teamwork and things like that. So
it's a three-dimensional game of Tetris with your personal belongings.
Right, absolutely. Yep, and that's very, very true. And if you know, people don't move every day, so if it means you're going to spend a few $100 more on a quality mover, by all means, please, even if it's not us, I would recommend you do that. Don't go with the lowest price temptation that's out there.
All right. And I think to put the final stamp on our conversation, if you could just name like the 5 bullet points that they should keep in mind when hiring a mover and planning that move from point A to point B.
Sure. So one is schedule ahead, definitely. Make sure that you are on the schedule for the move. Even if you're not 100% sure of your date, it's easier for us to make accommodations later once we have you on the schedule. Number 2, before you schedule with the mover, so I guess it should be number 1, is do your diligence ahead of time. Make sure you find a reputable mover. Make sure you ask those questions about their insurance, about their estimate, their charges, things like that. Number 3 and 4 are probably preparation, because you want to make sure that your move day goes as smooth as it possibly can. So as far as preparation goes, that means do as much as you can on your own to have things ready to go and sorted, and whatever you can't do, make sure that you have the moving company or a packing company come in and do for you ahead of time. And then I guess number 5 really would be try and get a good night's sleep prior to the move. We like to start early the day of the move, so a lot of clients don't want to wake up early, but we like to get in there, especially this time of year. It's light out early, it's 110 degrees by 10 a.m., 11 a.m. So get a good night's sleep, be well rested, and if you've done those things ahead of time, don't put off to the last minute. Moving is something that you need to be ready for, and we can help you get that done.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate the time, Justin. Again, I'm Danny Brown with Myriad at My Home Group, and this was Justin Hart of Just in Time Moving.
Thank you.